Call the meeting to order. Roll call, please.
Stacy.
Here.
Vinny.
Here.
Knoble.
Here.
Curran.
Here.
Nunn. Here. McMasters.
Here.
Wilmsmeyer.
Here.
And McKenzie.
Here.
We have a quorum?
Yep.
Alrighty. If you're able, will you please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? And it will be followed by invocation. If you do not want to pray with us, you're free to step outside or turn off your Zoom.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let us pray. Heavenly Father, thank you this evening that we can meet as a school board and attend to the business of our district. We ask, Father, that you guide and direct us, give us clear minds and hearts, that everything be done to benefit our children and our community. Thank you, Lord. Amen. And are there any public comments?
No, there are not.
Nothing tonight? Okay, then we will move on to the consent agenda, is that correct?
Minutes, we have to approve the minutes of the special meeting.
And
Fine.
you have the first item?
No, there's a minutes approval of the special.
Oh, we need to approve the minutes from the last meeting? Yes. Roll call, please.
No, we need a motion.
I move.
Oh.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Vinny, seconded by Curran.
Any discussion? Okay.
Vinny.
Aye.
Knoble.
Aye.
Curran.
Aye.
Nunn. Aye. McMasters.
Aye.
Stacy. Aye. Wilmsmeyer.
Aye. That's approved. Moving on to, is it consent agenda next, Stephanie? Yes. All right.
The consent agenda contains those items that are repetitive and routine in nature. Any member may make a motion to approve the consent agenda or request that any of the items be moved to section 7 for individual discussion and consideration. The consent agenda items are listed below for your discussion. Approval is recommended.
And Stephanie, could you please explain to the board the Illinois Association of School Board Conference, the joint annual conference in November 18th through the 21st?
Oh, yes, thank you. So the conference for the Illinois Association of School Boards is November 19th through 21st. If it's held in person, it's in Chicago. Generally, they've just sent the superintendent. I don't know how you want to handle that, but I would really enjoy going for at least the first
We
year.
send her every year.
Okay,
Yes.
it's the first year, and if there's someone else wants to go, we can discuss that, but this is just to put it on our, to make everybody aware that that's when it is, and we can have more detailed discussion about the way to do.
Need a
Motion to
motion.
approve the consent agenda with sending the superintendent to the school board meeting.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Approved?
Roll call. We need a roll.
Roll call.
Who's the second on that? Stacy. Motion by Wilmsmeyer, second by Stacy. Knoble.
Aye.
Curran.
Aye.
Nunn. Aye. McMasters.
Aye.
Stacy. Aye. Vinny.
Aye.
Wilmsmeyer.
Aye.
Motion approved.
Dennis, section 8. Dennis, section 8.
Retirements and resignations.
Retirements and resignations, section 8. Mr. President of the Board, it is recommended the following retirements and resignations be accepted. Stephen Baldy Sr., custodian Grigsby, retiring effective 6/30/21. Lee Fanning, English teacher at GCHS, retiring end of 23-24 school year. Christine Compton, teacher, Prather Pre-K, retiring June 26th, the end of 25-26 school year. Steve Aikman, science teacher, Coolidge, retirement end of 25-26 school year. Cynthia Aikman, Prather Pre-K, retirement end of 25-26 school year.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Who was
Any
second?
discussion?
Motion by Vinny, second by Knoble.
No discussion. Roll call.
Curran.
Aye.
Nunn. Aye. McMasters.
Aye.
Stacy. Aye. Vinny.
Aye.
Knoble.
Aye.
Wilmsmeyer.
Aye.
Motion approved. Request for leaves of absence.
Mr. President, the board has recommended that the following leaves be approved. Monica Brooks, ED teacher at Wilson, 2021-2022 school year. Erica DiCristofano, pre-K teacher, Prather, 8/16/21 to 1/2/22. Nicole Schmidt, Prather, 8/11/21 to 11/3/21.
Did you say Elizabeth?
Yeah.
No, that's okay.
But I think there is a reason why we do want to name the other person listed
Oh, I have to read it?
for insurance
Oh, I
purposes,
thought you said I did
for
not
death,
read it.
Okay.
possibly for life insurance policy
Okay.
issues, and, there may be some inquiries as to what her status was, yes.
Okay, Elizabeth Sismek, Monitor Lake, medical, 4/12/21 to 7/5/21.
All right, any discussion? No, do we have a
Yeah,
motion?
Bill,
We had a
Bill, I'd
motion.
just like to say,
Yes,
fortunately, we lost Elizabeth Simchek
Right.
here a couple of weeks ago, and certainly our condolences go out to
Oh,
her
my.
family.
Most definitely.
And we did need to list her here for the reasons for insurance purposes and those sorts of things, so.
thank you for that,
Thank you.
Dennis.
Thanks, Dennis.
Motion.
And we have a second?
Second.
Okay.
Motion by
Roll
Stacy.
call, please.
Seconded by Curran. None, aye. McMasters.
Aye.
Stacy.
Aye.
Vinnie.
Aye.
Knoble.
Aye.
Curran.
Aye.
And Wilmsmeyer.
Aye.
Passed. Extracurricular resignations,
8C. Mr. President and the Board, you have received detailed information about this item below. The administration is prepared to make recommendations for hold for discussion in executive session. We are recommending that the following extracurricular resignations be accepted. Mr. Justin Warren, Coolidge Junior High Assistant Girls Volleyball Coach.
do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call?
Motion by Curran, seconded by Vinnie. McMasters.
Aye.
Stacy.
Aye.
Vinnie.
Aye.
Knoble.
Aye.
Curran.
Aye.
None, aye. Wilmsmeyer.
Aye.
Passed. 8D, recommendation of Granite City High School extracurricular for the 2020-2021 school year.
Okay, Mr. President and the Board, you have received detailed information about this item below. The administration is prepared to make recommendations or hold for discussion in executive session. The high school administration is recommending the following extracurriculars. Deron Terry, assistant football coach. Ginny Henson, head ticket taker. George Kurgan, assistant wrestling coach. And Amy Pinnell, Tech Arts Club technical director.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All right, roll call.
Stacy.
Aye.
Vinnie.
Aye.
Knoble.
Aye.
Curran.
Aye.
None, aye. McMasters.
Aye.
And Wilmsmeyer.
Aye.
Passed. 8E, extracurricular recommendations for Granite City High School for the school year 2021-22.
Mr. President of the Board, you've received detailed information about this item listed below. The administration is prepared to make recommendations or hold for discussion in executive session. The high school administration is recommending the following extracurricular appointment for the 21-22 school year. Mr. Winnell Goodwin, assistant football coach.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Motion by Vinnie, second by Stacy. Vinnie.
Aye.
Knoble.
Aye.
Curran.
Aye.
None, aye. McMasters.
Aye.
Stacy.
Aye.
Wilmsmeyer.
Aye.
Passed. 8F, extracurricular recommendations for Coolidge Junior High School for the 2021-2022 school year.
Mr. President of the Board, you have received detailed information about this item below. The administration is prepared to make recommendations or hold for discussion in executive session. The Coolidge Junior High administration is recommending the following extracurriculars for the 21-22 school year. Chuck Nowd, electives department head. Laura DeLuca, language arts department head. Jody Jacobs, math department head. Jennifer Relicki, social studies department head. Tony Dowd, special ed department head. Chuck Nowd, head band director. Gayla Bennett, National Junior Honor Society. Terry Kuntz, 7th grade science club, 8th grade science club, science fair, student council, varsity club, and young authors. It's
gonna be busy.
Very busy, Mr. Terry Kuntz, thank you. Chuck Nowd, yearbook.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Any discussion?
I have a quick question, just for my own personal
Sure.
knowledge. Is there a science department then? Or has that already been established, or?
I think it's already, Mr. Parker?
Sorry, I probably should.
Mr. Parker, are you there?
They do have a department head, and I believe Mr. Curry turned those in earlier.
So let's start. Okay, thank
Okay,
you.
thank you very much.
Thank you.
Sure.
Roll call on that.
Motion was by Curran, seconded by Vinnie. Knoble?
Aye.
Curran?
Aye.
Nunn, aye. McMaster?
Aye.
Stacy?
Aye.
Vinnie?
Aye.
Wilmsmeyer?
Aye.
Passed. 8G, request for volunteers for the 2020-2021 school year.
Mr. President of the Board, you have again received detailed information about the item below. The administration is prepared to make recommendations or hold for discussion in executive session. The administration respectfully requests board approval for the following volunteer for the 2021 school year. Montre Sneed, a GCHS football coach volunteer.
Have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Motion by Nunn, seconded by Stacy. Curran?
Aye.
Nunn, aye. McMasters?
Aye.
Stacy?
Aye.
Vinnie?
Aye.
Knoble?
Aye.
Wilmsmeyer?
Aye.
Passed. 8H, request for volunteers for the 2021-22 school year.
Okay, Mr. President of the Board, you have received detailed information below about the item. The administration is prepared to make recommendations or hold for discussion in executive session. Okay, the administration respectfully requests board approval of the following volunteers for the 21-22 school year. Sarah Chapman Weiser, Angel Creek, Jennifer Relicky, all for the Coolidge Rise Up Theater.
Terrific group.
Yes,
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Any discussion?
I love that Coolidge is having theater.
Me too.
Yeah, exactly.
Me too. It's a great theater too.
That's
Yeah.
really exciting.
It is.
Roll call, please.
Motion by Vinnie, seconded by Stacy. Nunn, aye. McMasters?
Aye.
Stacy?
Aye.
Vinnie?
Aye.
Knoble?
Aye.
Curran?
Aye.
Wilmsmeyer?
Aye.
Enthusiastically approved.
Yes, right.
8I, employment of Granite City High School math teacher, 2021-22. Employment of the Granite City High School
Sorry.
math teacher, I read that
Yeah,
twice, sorry.
literally. Mr. President of the Board, you have received detailed information about this item below. The administration is prepared to make recommendations or hold for discussion in executive session. Due to the retirement of Carl Lehman, sadly, the Tier 1 committee consisted of Darren Depew, Nikki Matrillo, and Denise Albrecht recommended the following candidates for a Tier 2 interview. Mr. Terrence Burke and Megan Delaney. We are recommending Mr. Terrence Burke for the high school math position.
Is there any discussion? Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Roll call.
Motion by Stacy, seconded by Curran. McMasters?
Aye.
Stacy?
Aye.
Vinnie?
Aye.
Knoble?
Aye.
Curran?
Aye.
Nunn, aye. Wilmsmeyer?
Aye.
So approved. 8J, employment of an assistant band director, Coolidge Junior High, Granite City High School split,
That's it.
2021-22. The assistant band director, yes, for 2021-22.
Duplicate, sorry. I'm sorry.
They printed it twice each time. I thought I
Yeah,
had
so
full
he's reading
revision
it
at
twice,
first.
we're sorry about that. Mr. President of the Board, you've received detailed information about this item below. The administration is prepared to make recommendations or to hold for discussion in executive session. Okay, due to the movement of Joss Palmer to the music tech position at Coolidge, the Tier 1 committee consisting of Darren Depew, Chuck Noun, and Wyatt Roberts recommended the following candidate for a Tier 2 interview: Jim Parker, Stephanie Cannon, Pat Curry, Jada Brockman. We are recommending Jada Brockman for this position.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Yes. Any discussion?
A female band
I
director.
know
I love
it. She comes from us from Eastern University too. She actually sought out Granite City for her student teaching.
Excellent.
I think is pretty amazing, so
Mhm.
Yeah.
happy to have them.
Roll call.
Motion by Vinnie, seconded by Curran. Stacy.
Aye.
Vinnie.
Aye.
Kanogle.
Aye.
Curran.
Aye.
Nunn, aye. McMasters.
Aye.
Wilmsmeyer.
Aye.
And another very enthusiastic approval. 8K, certified classified.
Mr. President of the Board, you have received detailed information about this item. The administration is prepared to make recommendations or hold for discussion in executive session. This is always my favorite part. It is recommended that the following applicants be board approved as substitutes for the 2021 school year. Mr. Joshua Clark and Mrs. Paula Kwiatkowski. I think I said that. Classified Kenneth Harris. Sorry.
Do I have a motion?
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call.
Motion by Nunn, seconded by Stacy. Vinnie.
Aye.
Kanogle.
Aye.
Curran.
Aye.
Nunn, aye. McMasters.
Aye.
Stacy.
Aye.
And Wilmsmeyer.
Aye.
Approved. Employee discipline, are we going to hold that for executive session?
We've already, all I'm going to do is say the last line.
Okay.
Say it again. Mr. President and the Board, you've received detailed information about this item. The administration is prepared to make recommendations or hold for discussion in executive session. Mr. Schooley, would I just read the last line? Or
Yes,
just hold?
under the Open Meetings Act, the public is entitled to know the disposition of any disciplinary matter.
Okay. We are requesting that Mr. Jason Markovich be terminated effective immediately.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call.
Motion by Wilmsmeyer, seconded by Stacy. Kanogle.
Aye.
Curran.
Aye.
Nunn, aye. McMasters.
Aye.
Stacy.
Aye.
Vinnie.
Aye.
And Wilmsmeyer.
Aye.
Approved. The policy is just merely informational there, Stephanie? Is it-
Yeah, if we have any questions, I could say, Mr. President of the Board, the following pages include revised listed policies for your review. Approval is recommended.
Yes, we do need a vote.
We do need a
A
vote.
motion and a second and a vote.
Okay. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Any discussion here? If not, roll call.
Motion by Stacy, seconded by Curran. Curran.
Aye.
Nunn, aye. McMasters.
Aye.
Stacy.
Aye.
Vinnie.
Aye.
Kanogle.
Aye.
And Wilmsmeyer.
Aye.
Okay. Approved. This is 9A, kindergarten Chrome device purchase and CARES Act grant funding and Title I funding.
Sure, this is through old business. Mr. President of the Board, authorization is requested to purchase 500 two-in-one Chromebooks for kindergarten students with the CARES Act grant and Title I funds. The new devices are a convertible device that can be used as a touchscreen or a Chromebook with keyboard, so they're much more user-friendly for the young ones. The amount coming from the CARES will be $91,271.40. The rest of the cost will come from the Title I funding grant, $116,163.60. Due to the immediate availability and supply chain, well, no, the availability and supply chain delays, the devices could take 8 to 16 weeks to arrive after the order is placed. But the selected vendor, CDWG, I want to make sure you know, kind of gave us a heads up because they worked with us and we have the opportunity to get them that quickly. Otherwise, it would be closer to 4 to 6 months.
Oh my gosh.
So approval is recommended.
So moved.
Second?
Any discussion? Roll call.
Motion by me, seconded by Kanogle. Nunn, aye. McMasters.
Aye.
Stacy.
Aye.
Vinnie.
Aye.
Kanogle.
Aye.
Curran.
Aye.
Wilmsmeyer.
Aye.
9B, revised school times. You see the schedule there. There've been a
Right.
few tweaks on that. Is that right, Stephanie?
Right. Mr. President of the Board, the times are revised to accommodate bus schedules. That's what these all are about. So some of them are starting early. We discussed them with the union, with the principals, and I can read them, or they're going to be listed on They're in their folder, but it's going to be listed on Facebook and on the website after the meeting this evening if approved. Tomorrow morning. So do you want me to list them? Do you think I should read them?
I'm fine with just listing them.
Okay. So they'll be available on the website and on Facebook tomorrow morning.
Just for those that are listening, when will these take effect?
The fall school year.
Fall
So that
school
would
year.
be August 19th.
And approval is recommended. Do we
Yes.
have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call.
Motion by Stacy, seconded by Vinnie. McMasters?
Aye.
Stacy?
Aye.
Vinnie?
Aye.
Knoble?
Aye.
Curran?
Aye.
None, aye, and Wilmsmeyer?
Aye.
Approved. 9C is setting the dates, times, and location of Granite City School District Board of Education meetings. I'm going to let Stephanie just kind of go through that a little bit. There was been discussion whether we might push back the time of our meetings to make ourselves more accessible to the public getting off work, and also discussion of whether we want to meet. Some months we do meet once a month, but there are other months where possibly the business could all be done in one meeting a month, and we'll have I think a little discussion on that first.
I know he wants to address that.
And then, do we take those two separately things, Tom, as time and date?
Well, yeah, I think they are two separate items, so.
They are two separate. Let's talk about time first if we can. Why don't we do that?
Yeah, so Bill, I'm going to jump in here.
Good,
if you don't
Dennis.
mind. And again, I want to thank you for filling in tonight for me, because I just wasn't sure about this internet connection, so I certainly didn't want to drop off and leave you all hanging, so thank you. Yeah, so I think first order of business here would be, we have talked about, instead of a 5 o'clock meeting, a 6 o'clock meeting, in order to make it better for working families, and those who, when we can't all be back in person at least, to attend the school board meetings and present when they need to. So generally speaking, I'm happy to hear comments from everybody, but generally speaking, I think everybody was pretty much in favor of moving this, the start of our meetings back to 6 o'clock.
Is that
Happy to hear.
Is that a consensus I'm hearing from everybody?
Yes.
Is there any more discussion needed on that?
We need a.
No, I mean, I would just say that I think this, I mean, it obviously makes it easier for taxpayers and people who are working, most people work till 5 o'clock to come to meetings, or at least check it on Facebook Live. And it also, along with the one meeting a month thing that we're going to discuss in a second, I think it puts us more in line with other districts that tend to meet a little bit later in the night, just to make it easier for families.
There's nothing but good come out of this,
Yes.
absolutely.
Need a motion.
Motion to approve.
So moved.
Oh,
Do I have a second?
Second.
Roll call.
And this is just for the time?
for the time.
Okay, so the motion is made by Vinnie and seconded by Curran.
She's on it.
Correct. Okay, Stacy,
Aye.
Vinnie,
Aye.
Knoble,
Aye.
Curran,
Aye.
None, aye, McMasters,
Aye.
and Wilmsmeyer.
When it starts.
Aye, and I guess the other question here,
When
guys,
it
is
starts.
when do we want to make this effective?
Uh-huh.
I was thinking that the fiscal year starts July 1, so I didn't know if that would probably be a good time to start whatever we decide times, or monthly, if that's an acceptable time. It's up.
With me?
It might give the community a lot more time to adjust to it too,
Yeah.
and get the word out.
Our fiscal year begins July 1st, yeah, so that.
It gives us a couple
Makes
meetings
sense.
to kind of mention, by the way, in July, it's gonna
Yes, that's a
starting,
great
like
idea,
Linda
Zach.
said.
Yeah.
Mention it at the next board meeting too.
Dennis, I see a consensus that we move it to 6 and that we also begin this on July 1st, the first meeting in July.
Perfect. And Tom, do we need a
Yeah,
motion
a
for,
change.
to set that starting on July 1st?
Yeah,
Amend the first.
we haven't
motion.
voted the first meeting yet, have we?
No, so we could amend the
So we can
motion.
amend it with a subordinate
We
motion,
did
yes.
vote on
Oh, we
We
did
did
vote
vote
on
on
it?
We did vote
Oh,
on
But we did
vote on
also,
that.
Yeah.
just to amend the past motion
So a
effective.
motion to amend?
Motion to amend. And
Do I have
we
a
need to
second?
slow down.
There we go.
Roll call.
So the motion to amend was made by Vinnie and seconded by Curran. Vinnie,
Aye.
Knoble,
Aye.
Curran,
Aye.
None, aye, McMasters,
Aye.
Stacy,
Aye.
and Wilmsmeyer.
Aye.
That's approved. And the second part of that, Dennis, would you like to jump in with a little discussion about if you would like to about
Yes.
whether we meet once a month?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. I appreciate that, Bill. So the other discussion here is that we have been talking about moving, instead of 2 meetings a month, moving that to 1 meeting a month, keeping that either on the second or fourth Tuesday, and kind of reserving, if we need to, then that other meeting, if we move it to the second, reserve the fourth, or vice versa, in case we do need a special meeting. But again, here, as Zach said, kind of getting in line with more of the other school districts. And I will tell you, the staff there in the board office does a great job, but I do know how much time it takes to put together this board packet. It is a tremendous amount of drain, and time taken away when they could be doing other things. So happy to hear everybody's thoughts on this, kind of going forward if we want to go to that 1 meeting a month.
Dennis, I like the best part about that idea is I think what you stated, that how much tremendous work goes into preparing for a board meeting. And it stops their week to get ready for us to have our board meeting. And when we know we can do most of this business in one meeting a month, and we're also all aware that second meeting time is kept open by board members, that we can announce that meeting will happen at the preceding meeting. I don't think we're doing anything but saving a lot of effort by people that could do a lot of other things, I think. So I think that's all positive, in my opinion.
With one caveat, whenever the board started exploring this idea, Stephanie and I got together, and we think it would be a very good idea if Zach Suri, the Director of Finance, still sends out his bill packet twice a month, like as if there were 2 meeting minutes.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
that way, if a board member has a question about any of the particular bills or bills, they can get a hold of him. We want to be conscious about the open meetings, that you guys can't do it as a group, question him, but one of you can certainly call him up and question a bill, because going to meetings once a month, bills will be paid, and in essence, the board will be ratifying a lot of the bills paid. So to alleviate any too much water going under the bridge about a questionable bill, if there is one, that you still would get the bills every 2 weeks. If you have a question, call Zach. He'll be more than happy to explain anything. But the bills would be just ratified. And I've talked to Zach, and because we do have meetings, I think it's 3 months out of the year, only 1 per month. This is a practice. He says that he can certainly handle it. Won't create any hardship on his department.
Thank you for that, Tom.
I would also do a board update, the 2 week, when we normally have a meeting. I'll make sure there's anything that you need to know in between, and I'll put it into a regular board update.
Yeah, I think it's also convenient for the board. I know we've had a lot of circumstances where maybe someone has work obligations the Tuesday, both one of the Tuesdays, or they're out of town, and maybe it's more flexible that we could decide to meet the second or the fourth if something arises like that. Just for people deciding.
I think certainly when we have the second Tuesday fixed at 6 o'clock and the other one available,
Yeah.
we're not giving up much. What we're doing is making it more flexible, certainly for the people to prepare and for the board too. I agree with you, Zach.
I guess, what does everybody want for that, which Tuesday?
Yeah, as far as this
I think-
motion, do we need to decide if it's?
How
Now,
does the
that was the other question. Do we want to make the second Tuesday the date we meet?
I think looking at the rest of the meetings, like just looking at the calendar for the rest of the year, that the second Tuesday makes more sense, because like in November and December, you're not gonna have that fourth.
Yeah.
You're not gonna want that fourth Tuesday, because you're gonna be around Christmas, around Thanksgiving, stuff like that. So I would be in favor of the second Tuesday.
Dennis, don't you have a standing meeting at some point on one of those Tuesdays?
No. Final, the second Tuesday of the month, I'm good. That's not a problem.
Okay,
Is everyone okay with the second Tuesday?
And again, what effective date do we want this?
so
July 1st, along with the,
it would be the same meeting date, correct? Is that July 13th? No, is that the second?
Yeah.
I'll just make
Yeah,
sure.
I have library board meetings that second Tuesday. I mean, obviously I'm coming here, but,
Right.
Oh, but that
so
would be-
it's,
I mean, it
you know, if I'm the only
doesn't
one, then we
No,
have to.
I mean, it doesn't matter.
He's not the
Well, you know,
only
it's kind of a
one.
team
He's not
effort,
the only
Cal. It
one,
really is.
because
And
Yeah.
I have another meeting
Well,
that
it'll be the first
I've missed
Tuesday,
every time
too.
on the second Tuesday
Well,
also.
first-
I'm fine with any Tuesday.
Yeah, I think.
I'm not locked into it. It does
Yeah.
not have to be
I'm
second
not
Tuesday for me.
Yeah.
I'm not locked into that. I'm not married to that date at all.
Are there other municipal meetings that take place on Tuesdays? I think
Yeah.
nothing
City
conflicts.
council and
City
township
council is
meetings
the
are
other.
second and
First and
The
third.
first and third.
And
The
township,
fourth would set us up.
First and third.
village.
Yeah, but we weren't gonna meet then. I mean, that might be like November and December might just be the only 2 months that we have to meet
To the
at an
second.
earlier time,
Yeah.
if it comes to that. I mean, if it's easier for everyone.
Yeah, Tom, could we do that? So if we were to set it for the fourth Tuesday of the month, but then knowing that like in December or in November, that
We
would fall over
switch it.
holidays,
Does it-
we can announce and switch it ahead of time?
So I have a question also along those lines. Does it have to be the second or fourth, or can we just put out a calendar that says these are the meeting days?
We can put on a calendar that these are
That's
the
probably
meeting
more.
dates. Under the school code, we have to publish those,
Right.
put them on the website and give it to the news media as well, once the board establishes those dates.
Well, I think that sounds the way, what Eric just said would be the way to go. Like, we'll default to the fourth, but then
Yeah.
on those months we'll choose and then we'll have our calendar set.
Yeah,
And like Bill said, don't forget under board policy,
Right.
special board meetings can be called if need
Right.
be to entertain a
Right.
specific reason to call a board meeting. And that's just,
Do you have any recommendations about that, whether it's having a calendar set one or set weeks, Mr. Schooley?
It's always been
Mhm.
the typical calendar that you see here, you know, it normally is that,
That doesn't mean it's still has
but it's whatever the board decides. There's nothing in the school code that mandates it be on the first or third or the second and fourth. It's whatever your pleasure is.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah, I think
it's a different world now.
Yeah.
You could do the fourth and then just one of two, November and December.
We certainly could do the fourth, as Stephanie said, and keep the second one open as our open date.
I agree.
Maybe for like December and November.
I think it's in a good spirit of things when we have a couple of board members that it's been a problem,
Yeah,
that we can be flexible for each other. I think that's a credit.
yeah.
And I don't have any problem with that. Do you, Stephanie, at all?
No.
That can work out fine.
And those are the second Tuesdays for November and December, those dates that are listed.
Right.
Uh-huh.
So those could be, you know, you could maintain those dates and then you could look up the
Right.
fourth.
I mean, you'd almost have to. because
Same with July.
You would have, it would be December 28th
Mhm.
if you went to the fourth Tuesday there and November 23rd.
Yeah.
So it'll be July 27th.
So as far as voting on this tonight, I mean, the meetings we have listed in front of us is the standard 2 a month. Are we still okay to just vote to say the fourth week?
Starting on the month of July,
Which would change it to the
21-22 school
27th.
year.
Yeah.
Whatever the board decides. Is your question, Zach, do we begin this immediately or do we begin it effective July?
Well, I know it'd be
1st?
effective July, I just didn't know if like, because it's listed in the packet as the standard 2 meetings, I didn't know if we needed to change.
That's
I
up
guess
to,
that's- okay.
that's up to
It'd
the
just
board
be
to
updated.
decide.
Okay. Yeah.
We would issue a meeting.
Let's kind of rein this into a one collective motion here then. What do we want one day? What's the pleasure here of the board? Am I hearing the fourth Tuesday, making the second Tuesday available for board members, starting July 1?
I don't know that you
Am I
can
hearing
lock
that right?
into the, I don't know that you can lock into the fourth though, and then say we're not having them in November and December.
No, I think we'd have to
I-
make an exception for those 2 months.
Can our motion just be that we're going to go to one board meeting a month with the calendar to be set and as required by the school code?
And whenever we reorganized 2 weeks ago, or last week, one of the things at the reorganization meeting we did, we set board meetings for the next 2 years. And so we're going to have to bring that back and revisit it and pass it at the next meeting as well. So the school code requires that we give the public notice in advance of these meeting days. So that's why we
Right.
have to
Vote
do
on it and then.
So that's what I mean though, so we don't have to, like, in the motion, we don't have to say it's automatically the fourth Tuesday. We can just say that we're gonna go, as of July 1st, we'll go to one meeting a month, and it will be published per the school code.
I would
that
feel more
calendar.
comfortable if we want to go ahead and pass a motion tonight stating that the board is going to go to one meeting per month, dates to be established and passed at the next board meeting. Then Stephanie will have her staff put together those, if
Right.
it's the fourth
Yeah.
Tuesday, except for that
Yes.
November, December,
Establish and approve
that's
the
fine.
board meeting.
But we need to pass certain dates.
Tom, I think
Dennis?
that's Solomon the Wise there, and we just have basically a motion that we go July 1 to one meeting a month. That specific date will be set at the next board meeting, those dates, and,
Right.
We have to do the next 2 years, just as we did.
Yeah.
Dennis, do you have any
Yes.
comments, Dennis?
No, I agree with Tom 100% there and Bill as well.
it's
So,
spot
yes.
on, and yes, and Stephanie then can set us
Got
a
it.
nice schedule, and we can all look at that and approve it next time.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, did we approve the 6 o'clock part already?
We
Mhm.
approved the time as well as the amended to take place as of July 1st, so I'm not sure if we have a motion on the once a
We
month.
don't, you would have to say.
I'll make a motion that, as of July 1st, the school board will start meeting once a month with the times to be established and
And David.
dates.
Approve the next board meeting.
I'm sorry, not the times, the dates to be
Dates.
established and approved at the next board meeting.
Do I have a second on
May
that?
22nd.
Second.
Any more discussion?
Whenever we make changes like this, I just always like to pause for
I
a
know, I
second.
know.
Are there any unintended consequences that might adversely affect anyone? So the bills were the one that I thought about, but it sounds like
Yeah.
there's a solution for that.
Board update.
Board update you'll have, so, to your
Tom,
recollection.
anything else?
Again, if there's an emergency, we can always,
Yes.
within, I think it's 24, 48 hours, we can call an emergency meeting.
And most boards operate monthly
Special board
anyway.
I know.
And, okay. From my perspective as a teacher, I'm sure I didn't see any issues, but I just wanted to see from your lenses if there were. Otherwise, I'm great.
We're solving so much, we might not have to meet at all again.
Yeah, right.
That's
Now we're all laughing,
Yeah.
yeah.
Dennis will come back and say, did I miss anything?
Yeah, really. What happened?
And we'll say everything.
What happened?
Can I have a roll call? Can I have a roll call, please?
So the motion was by Stacy and seconded by Curran. Stacy,
Aye.
Vinnie,
Aye.
Knoble,
Aye.
Curran,
Aye.
Nunn, I, McMasters,
Aye.
and Wilmsmeyer.
Aye.
That is approved. Is that the end of new business?
Yep, and now no, that was old business.
Item 10A is next,
Yes, that's correct.
and that is breakfast after
Yep.
the bell opt-out hearing authorization.
That is correct. Mr. President of the Board, the breakfast after the bell opt-out hearing authorization, this is strictly to set up the dates for the hearings. We generally opt out of this, but this is just to set the dates for that, and they're still correct dates, because they're all from June. Approval is recommended. If you need me to explain, this is just the hearing, but I could explain to you if you need to know what that means, what it means to opt out of this breakfast.
What,
Yeah.
first I would need
Okay.
to know what breakfast after the bell is.
It's, because I did student work for SIU and went to all the school districts, especially intermediate on, it's where they actually take time out. It's a grant they provide. You have to stop at a particular time. Kids leave the classroom, they go get breakfast, bring it back to the classroom. Generally 10 to 15, sometimes 20 minutes of instructional time is lost. And we already have a system where kids get free breakfast anyway.
Okay.
In the cafeteria, or we could even continue having them grab it and take it to the classroom. I don't feel that personally that this is necessary with already having a free reduced lunch system.
And Eric, what we're doing here,
Just
the
the-
statute that mandates this has an opt-out provision
Yes.
for school districts. If they
Mhm.
hold a public hearing and financially demonstrate to the public that it's a financial hardship for the district to do this, then we can opt out of that program. But the
Okay.
procedure to do this is to, one, notify ISB, Illinois State Board of Education, that you're going to file your notice to opt out and have a public hearing. And then we will have that we have to do that, have the public hearing on June 8th. That's why Zach's kind of nervous about when we're going to have our
Right,
next
he
meeting.
was
Because
worried.
he has to publish that in the newspaper, that there is going to be a public hearing. And then he will present his financial documentation as to why it's a hardship.
Okay.
And just for you guys, it's a hardship because craft jurisdiction is such that custodians are the ones that clean up. Teachers cannot clean up their rooms.
Yeah.
So, it would create, we'd have to go into collective bargaining and have amendments to their agreement for working conditions and add that. And of course, that could cost the district extra money.
Right.
And so that's part of the process that we have got to go through every year to opt out of this program.
Okay,
It's just they have to do.
sure.
Do I have a motion approval that's been recommended?
So moved.
Second.
Any more discussion? Roll call.
Motion by Stacy, seconded by Knoble. Vinnie,
Aye.
Knoble,
Aye.
Curran,
Aye.
Nunn, I, McMasters,
Aye.
Stacy,
Aye.
Wilmsmeyer.
Aye.
Approved. 10B, the creation of a COVID recovery and innovation coordinator position and job description.
Mr. President of the Board, first off, this is a grant-funded position from the new ESSA 2 or ARP ESSA 3. After a discussion previously about the plans and what to do with grant funds, and I put some information out to the public yesterday as well, it is recommended that we create and post this job description for the grant-funded COVID Recovery Innovation Coordinator position and job description. The administrator will be placed on step 6 of the administration's salary schedule. Approval is recommended.
And again, this position will be beginning school year 21, 22, correct?
That is correct.
Is there any
So
discussion?
moved.
Oh, we have motion. Yes, second.
Second.
Now is there any discussion?
I mean, I just wanted to say that this is, I mean, we heard the presentation, I think it was 2 meetings ago, but I think it's such a forward-thinking way to look at COVID recovery. I think it was Dennis that brought up last time that so many districts are probably just going to try to go right back to normal, like nothing happened. And this position kind of fits into a broader plan of making sure that we're making up for lost ground, if you will. So
And Stephanie, this position will spin down the requirement that 20% of that money be utilized for this type of training.
At least 20%.
At least 20%.
And I did get some public comments about usage of grant funding, just working on learning loss, but we are also, this is actually a restructuring of our instructional strategies, instructional coaches for all levels of students. Also, it just creates an ability with smaller class sizes to be able to help teachers, help principals be instructional leaders. So this position will be in the trenches, will be actually helping all kids at all levels. So I think it'll be really important to move the district forward academically, social, emotionally.
And this is the position that you had said before, that the summers are the time for gathering all that, crunching the numbers.
That's exactly
and
right.
Finding out exactly, putting that data to use.
And actually,
Being able to put that data
thank
to
you
use.
for bringing up that point, because it will be a 12-month position, because this person will be in the trenches, will be helping instructional coaches, will be finding leaders, teacher leaders, things we're doing well, and jumping on those too. So being able to take that data that was gathered throughout the year and be able to implement it into data teams, teaching teachers how to use data for data-driven decisions. I just think, just be a really hands-on position that I think teachers will be able to
Well,
relate
and I
to.
think that time spent doing that is a huge deal, because there's a lot of governmental organizations all over the country that will gather all kinds of data, and they'll put it in a nice big book, and they'll put it on a shelf somewhere.
Can't do that.
Nothing happens. So I think the fact that this is the time to be able to really look at those numbers and find out what means what it's just huge.
And it's our data. It's stuff
Yeah,
that
it's
we're going to
ours.
go collect.
It's
It's
not-
not a
yeah.
state standardized test data. It's not, there will be some IAR and tests that are standardized that we use within the district, but we'll have our people looking at our data, and I just think that it's just so needed for us to move forward and know exactly where we're going, where we are and where we're going.
And
Stephanie,
the fact
could-
that it's coming out of our district and being built by it, by
Through
our
grant
district
funds, which are
is-
supposed to be
and
for this.
All of the people involved in this, we are going to utilize teachers to the
Oh,
fullest extent, and I think that's going to be just the best way to create a program.
And to
Get
build on what's
everybody
good
involved.
too. Build on the instructional strategies our teachers are using that are working. We're not throwing the baby out with the bathwater. We're using the good things, pulling on those, and then adding to them. Mr. Scully, you have?
Yeah, for the new board members, Erica and Eric, the process, assuming the board approves the creation of this position, you're asking that it's going to be next school year, that it will be immediately posted?
Yes.
To start taking applications, and then the interview process begins?
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's,
I think we're all thoroughly impressed that
yeah. I just,
Stephanie constantly brings things that are, as Zach says, forward thinking. And everything is not normal when we go back in the ball full time. And there's so many new things to look at. And I appreciate all the work our superintendent puts into getting us where we need to be and up to speed. We have a motion and a second on
I
this?
think,
We did.
I just say one more comment,
Erica
and then I'm
wanted
ready to
to.
go. what I think is very valuable about this position, I mean, it isn't another administrative job, and some people might ask, okay, we're now going to create another administrator.
It's different.
But this is a different kind of administrator. Having worked in the Granite City School District, I think the additional instructional leadership is going to be something that is tremendously valuable to the teachers and to the children and to the families. So as long as this person, like you said, is in the trenches the bulk of the time and really working to better our teachers, better our instructional leaders, and then hopefully creating additional instructional leaders throughout,
Exactly.
I think this is a great plan.
And that's the whole point, is to continue to build instructional leadership.
Right.
And then we'll even trade out instructional
Encourage
coaches.
it and promote it.
Yes,
That's the point, thank you.
thank you.
We'll get our own public health director for us.
Yeah.
We're gonna need one.
I don't know how many people are going to apply for that.
I don't know. There might be improvement.
Is there any more discussion? Roll call, please.
Motion is made by me and seconded by Curran. Knogle?
Aye?
Curran?
Aye.
Nunn, aye. McMasters?
Aye.
Stacy?
Aye.
Vinnie?
Aye.
And Wilmsmeyer.
Aye.
Motion approved. 10C, Property Tax Appeal Board resolution to intervene for the following addresses listed below.
Mr. President of the Board, Attorney Tom Schooley is recommending the Board approve the attached resolution to allow him to intervene with the Property Tax Appeal Board in Springfield, Illinois, with regard to the Amstead Rail Company appeal of their 2019 tax assessment. Attorney Schooley has represented to the Board in the past that this matter has been resolved. However, a formal resolution must be presented to the Property Tax Appeal Board before they will sign off on the agreement reached by Amstead and the school district on the assessment of property taxes for the 2019 school year. Approval is recommended. Do you have a comment, Mr.
Yeah,
Schooley?
like the one at Amstead, and again for the new board members, the only time I get involved on behalf of the school district on a property tax appeal on a commercial side or industrial side is whenever that business or industry is requesting more than $100,000 of market value being chopped off their tax assessment, okay? By law, all the taxing districts are allowed to get notice, and that's when we go in. With American Steel, they were coming out of a TIF, which means they paid taxes, but those taxes were rebated back to them. And after the TIF retired, they wanted to go from like 16 million market value down to 3 million. 16 million EAV, which is equalized assessed valuation, 1/3 of their market value, down to 3 million. So we reached an agreement with them once we got an appraisal. But for each year, but at the Property Tax Appeal Board, they need resolutions from the parties, allowing them to appear before them to sign off on that agreement. That's all it is here. With the one at 1700 Walnut. The 3951 Lakeview Commerce or Corporate Drive, Granite City, that's the warehousing out in Pontoon Beach. What happened there is that those are in Shoto Township, and the assessor there fixed all their assessments at $45 a square foot. And some of those warehouses are 25 years old, others are 2 years old. So that's created several appeals out there, and the board authorized us to go out and have one appraisal done between us, I think it was the city of Edwardsville and the Edwardsville School District, because we share boundaries on one of the warehouses, so we're sharing the bill on that, and that's intervening on that one as well. That's Pancal. And we feel confident that we'll be successful in sustaining that $45 a square foot.
Approval is recommended.
So moved.
Do we need a motion for each?
We actually need a motion for each of those. Thank you,
So
Zach.
each
Yes.
separately?
Okay,
Okay.
motion.
Yep.
So first for 3951 Lakeview. Who made the motion? All right, we'll give it to Curran. Seconded by Vinnie. Any more? Okay. Curran?
Aye.
Nunn, aye. McMasters?
Aye.
Stacy?
Aye.
Vinnie?
Aye.
Knogle?
Aye?
And Wilmsmeyer.
Aye.
Motion approved. 10D, building repairs.
We still
We still have to do the
Wait, wait, the other one,
1700.
Oh, I'm
Yes,
sorry,
we
I'm
need to
sorry.
do them both separately. So we need a motion for 1700 Walnut.
So moved.
She can have
I
that.
I'll
get that
switch it.
one.
I'll switch it and go.
Second.
Vinnie first and Curran second. Nunn, aye. McMasters?
Aye.
Stacy?
Aye.
Vinnie?
Aye.
Knogle?
Aye?
Curran?
Aye.
And Wilmsmeyer?
Aye.
Approved. Is the next item building repairs?
That is correct. Mr. President, the Board Director of Facilities, Eric Smith, will present and discuss some Coolidge repair and on different areas and the Grand City High School tuck pointing information. Eric, are you there? Oh, no. Mr. Smith? Eric?
I'm not on here.
Mr. Smith?
You want me to get him on a cell phone?
Here are some,
Yes, we do have, you can look though.
I'm here.
Oh, there you are, okay, okay. I'm talking about the Coolidge Middle School repairs from the George Weiss Company. Those are attached
Yes.
in your package. You want to start with that, Mr. Smith?
Yes, what we have is all the EFS on the outside of that building to drive it. It's on the outside. It has some issues. It has some water leaking problems. It has some damage towards the bottom of the panels. And what we're looking at doing is doing a testing and cut some of those panels to see if the bonding is still there that holds it onto the building, or if it's deteriorated enough to where we need to go back and address something else. But with the bid that is presented through George Weiss is the repair of the total project to actually cut about 10 inches off the bottom of that panel, repair the water damage, hopefully, and re-caulk the whole building so that we don't have any more damage to that building.
So are we looking, you said testing versus actually doing, do you want the,
Yeah, what I'd like to have is the board approve the bid, because George Weiss was the only one that showed up for the bid. But before we give them the okay to do the work, in a week or so, they're gonna come in and actually do a testing for me to see just how bad the building truly is. And with that, with the shortage of all the materials and shortage of paints, and with possibility that we go to 1 month meetings, is that if the testing comes out in a positive way, I would like to go ahead and start this project so that we can complete this project before the beginning of school.
because didn't you say also that when you talked about resources and such, paint, how long was it going to take to get paint? They were completely out, except if we went through people that already had it stockpiled?
Yes, and that's another thing. There's a nationwide shortage of paint coming up, and with the amount of paint that's needed to paint the building, we're trying to acquire the paint through Sherwin-Williams. We're hoping that we're able to, but there again, it depends on a time frame on when they can get the work done. But we might consider having them paint the building with their additional bid if we're unable to get the paint. But if we're able to get the paint, our painters can do it well under their price.
But if we
Yeah, and Eric and I talked the other day about this. I think it's a good approach, kind of testing, finding out exactly what we're working with, what we're dealing with, because it's a little bit of a guess at this point. So bringing them out, and he's right, I mean, we're going to one meeting a month here very shortly, so from bringing this back to the board perspective, we'll lose most of the summer here if we don't kind of move forward on this. And a good idea on the painting too, because it's always good to have options and good backups.
I have a question.
And I'd make
Exactly.
I'd make a motion to approve this.
Okay, Zach has a question
Yeah.
real quick.
I'll second that motion, and just as far as like the cost of this goes, I think I'm just like a little confused because it says total estimate amount 32.1, and then there's 3 lines that say add 36, add 70,
Right.
Yes.
add
Yeah.
63.
I would explain that, Eric.
Okay.
What are
we're
you,
doing?
Tom has a.
The repairs, we have holes in the building, we have damage from, this just vandalism. Some of that is going to cost, well, all of that just to get the repairs, the cracks that are under the windows that have showed up, that's $32,000, $32,157. And then with a alternative of ripping off all of the water damage along the bottom. All of those panels have been they have received water damage because the caulking has failed. The caulking is only good for about 10 years. That building's going on 20 years old. Some of that caulk is still original. Some of it has been replaced. But in the meantime, that has leaked down, damaged that bottom part of that panel, and that's where the other bid for $70,000 to actually cut the bottom portion of that building all the way around it, 8 inches off, to repair all of that water damage, so we don't have the possibility of a growth of some sort on the backside, or just any possible damage to not adhere our caulk. So that's an additional $70,000. And then the caulking on the back, just to caulk that entire building, is $63,000. That's how much the material is gonna cost and them to caulk it. And what I'm asking the board to do is consider the $36,000 for the painting. I don't want that okayed right now. That can come in maybe later. It's just kind of a discussion. Because if I can get the paint, our painters can actually paint that building.
So you're asking for the 32,157 right now?
And the 70 and
And the 70?
And the 70.
And the 70, and the caulking on the back, the $63,210.
Okay.
That is the actual repair for that building. Worst case scenario is if we're unable to get the paint, if they end up doing another job and use the paint they have on hand, our building will look like a leopard maybe for a season, because you'll be able to see everywhere they do the repair. It's just like painting your house wall. You're gonna see new paint compared to old paint. So those repairs will be noticeable. That's why we also would like to have the building painted, for actually sealing that outside layer to give it a little more protection too. Because at this time with 20-year-old drive it needs to be painted.
So would that be 3 separate?
So Dennis, you're only asking for the one part right tonight to be approved?
No, I think
He is, really what we're talking about is everything except the painting.
Right.
Yeah,
Okay.
the
Yeah.
motion would be to
That's
approve the bid absent the painting,
Right,
Alternate.
excluding the painting.
excluding the painting.
So everything other than whether we paint or not, we want to approve tonight, is that correct, Dennis?
Yes.
And we
correct.
have, do we have a motion
Yeah,
and a second on that?
Wilmsmeyer motioned, and then I think we need a second.
Second.
Good. Is there any more discussion on this? We have to take care of our properties,
Oh my
or they'll
gosh,
just cost
yes.
more.
It'll just get worse.
Do we happen to know why nobody else submitted a bid?
Yeah, that was weird.
Yeah.
Do we know why no one else showed, Eric? Do you?
We sent it out to several different people who requested it. We have, I think, 4 other people that had requested the bid, but nobody showed up to the mandatory pre-bid meeting to walk the property and actually have, if they have questions, for me to answer.
Okay.
I appreciate all your good work on that.
This company is, you checked out this company too, right? They've been around for a while, didn't you tell me too, Eric?
Yes, this company actually put the drive-in on that building,
Any more?
or the
I know.
EFS.
He checked, I know.
Dennis, I appreciate your insights and certainly yours there. Is there any more discussion? We have a motion and a second, roll call.
Motion by Wilmsmeyer, seconded by Stacy. McMasters?
Aye.
Stacy?
Aye.
Vinnie?
Aye.
Knoble?
Aye.
Curran?
Aye.
None. I. Wilmsmeyer?
Aye.
Motion passed. We have some 8x10 glossies that Stephanie, well, they're not so
Yes.
glossy, but she's passing them around, and
Right.
you can take a look at some of the damaged areas and
This is-
areas of stress.
No, it's a whole packet. We didn't do them for everything.
Okay.
Because there were just so many pictures. So we have the next one. I'll show it.
Then there's another
Oh, okay.
section here on tuck pointing.
Right, 10B.
Yes. 10D, Granite City High School tuck pointing.
That is correct. Mr. President of the Board, please see the following pages for the information on the Granite City High School tuck pointing project. There are photographs available for viewing at the board meeting. There were so many, we just kind of passing them around to get an idea. Mr. Smith, do you want to talk about this as well?
Yes, this is the west side of the high school. This catches the blunt of the weather. wind, rain. These are the areas that need to be tuck pointed. Some of it has been tuck pointed in the past. Some of the tuck pointing is actually popping out. There's leaks where it's going inside of the building. Put several bids out. Well, I haven't put several bids out, but there's several sections of that bid, A through, I think, H. But each wall I would like to bid separately, so that we kind of have a number we can go, we have a number in our budget that we want to hit. And with that many different walls being bid, we should be able to hit that number.
Is that number budgeted for tuck pointing?
Yes, it is.
So they have pictures, so I guess this is, you would need a approval to put out a request for bids?
Yes, I would like to put this out for bid. And this is going to go on to every building we have. This year it might be the high school, next year I think I have Mitchell and Maryville, I think, that I would like to have tuck pointed. But every year, we can do every building every year actually, if we have the money.
Could you explain exactly what tuck pointing actually is on a brick
Yes.
wall?
Tuck pointing is actually the removal of the grout or the mortar that is in between the brick. What we're wanting them to do is go in and grind down 5/8 to an inch of that mortar and clean out that crack, clean out everything they can, and then put in new mortar. And what that does, that's going to seal that building up from any moisture damage. What happens, water gets behind that brick, it'll freeze and thaw, and then we have more damage.
So it's like getting your cavity filled.
Well, kind of, yeah.
Exactly.
Well, good analogy, teacher. Thank you for that. So,
And Eric, this type of job, you preferably you'd like to have it done with students not being in the building, so isn't it awfully loud?
It is.
Well, it is loud, and we will be probably doing it with students in there possibly. I don't know, depending on the time frame, just whenever somebody can do that. But one thing I'd like to do is make sure that the dust level is down. I want them to water grind the mortar so that we don't have any issues with any exposure of any type of dust.
And with your RFP, you'll send out that standard cover letter that they've got to pay at a minimum prevailing wage, right?
Yes, you are correct. That will go out with that.
Okay.
All right, I move to request bids for tuck pointing at Granite City High School.
I'd like you to start getting bids. Do I have a second on that?
Second.
Any more discussion? Roll call.
Motion by Vinnie, seconded by Stacy. Stacy,
Aye.
Vinnie,
Aye.
Knoble,
Aye.
Curran,
Aye.
Nunn, I, McMasters.
Aye.
Wilmsmeyer.
Aye.
Motion approved. 10, are we, 10D.
10D3. We have a metering house school.
Andrew House School, we have some glossy, or
Do you
some
want to do
photos here. We can pass them around, Stephanie.
Okay, maybe this way. Mr. President, the board, the following pages have information on metering house school, and there are photographs available at the meeting as well. As superintendent of this school district, I have a fiscal responsibility in regards to metering house building, on all building maintenance and potential safety issues. Included in your packet is information for just the roof repairs to make it up to speed. I am recommending that we have, Mr. President and the board would maybe push this to a committee meeting, Mr. Wilmsmeyer?
Yes. Yeah, definitely. I've seen enough here in the pictures and photographs that you sent around, Superintendent Can, for the board packet here, that, and obviously we need to talk about the leases there next, but I would like to see a buildings committee, Bill, you and me, to talk maybe with Eric and Superintendent Can about what we do with this building on a going forward basis.
Why don't you set a date, Dennis, and we'll get that out to everybody and get a meeting maybe here at room 19 or whatever as soon as possible.
So as far as the repairs go, there's going to have a committee meeting. Do we need any motion as far as
No.
the repairs?
No,
Okay.
we don't.
Well, we could, if we just want to table this on the Neighboring House School information, that means when you motion to table it, it'd be set on next month, the next meeting document, agenda.
Okay. We'll try to have a report then in the next meeting, Dennis, is that okay?
Yes, yes.
All right, thank you.
Okay.
10F.
Well,
We need
let's
to
have,
move it
let's have a
forward.
motion to table.
Oh, we do,
I did
oh,
that.
sorry.
The
Roll
Neighboring
call.
House repairs issues till next meeting.
I'll second that.
Roll call.
Motion by Vinnie, seconded by Nunn. Vinnie,
Aye.
Knoble,
Aye.
Curran,
Aye.
Nunn, I, McMasters.
Aye.
Stacy,
Aye.
Wilmsmeyer.
Aye.
Motion passed. I see a D here and
Well,
somehow
it's
I
X,
don't have an E,
it's
so.
10E, leases, it's the leases. We have currently, the district, Mr. President and the board, have 6 active leases. They need to re-sign for extensions. The recommendation is that we terminate leases until we know the safety of the building. Mr. Schooley, do you want to add to that?
Yeah, what I handed to the board members are the current leases. You'll see in my chicken scratch on number 2 and number 5, those leases have been terminated. On the very first one, that has not been renewed, and we do have contact information, and the theory was that at least if we rented out space in the Neighboring House, it would help offset some of the annual upkeep on the building, such as the heating, air conditioning, and water. And we've fallen short of that, so the district's gone in the hole with regard to, it's just been an expense to maintain that school.
Yeah, coming alive.
But anyway, these are, as Stephanie said, 1, 3, 4, 6, 7, and 8 are still current and active tenants in that building. And as you can see, I have put what the termination notice is for. I think the vast majority, it's a 30-day termination notice, so it's not a problem for the district to send notice to the tenants terminating those leases.
There's a,
So what we're asking for right now is a motion to go ahead and terminate the lease.
To send, yes.
Do we have a second on that? Do we have a
I'll make a
on that?
motion.
Yeah. Second?
Second.
Second. Tell him.
I guess
Roll
just,
call.
I mean, it seems like this will probably be a bigger discussion at another meeting, but so as far as the plan going forward, it's to have a construction committee meeting about just the repairs. There will pretty much be no one in the building at that point, and then we're gonna have to decide what to do with it going forward.
right, because we've had the roof guy go out, just to repair it to make it even safe for next year's $60,000+. And we just need to know where we stand there. You go in there, you can see where my concerns. There's equipment and things in the hallways, there's
Right.
Is it-
I've been in
leaking
there.
spots.
Legally, and the old board members, or the most tenured board members, know about this. But for the newer board members, it used to be that school districts and their facilities were not governed by the city's municipal building codes and ordinances. There's a Supreme Court case came out 3 or 4 years ago now that
They are.
school district did
Right.
something crazy. They built a baseball diamond right next to some alderman's house, and the stands blocked their view. So guess what? That case made its way all the way to the Illinois Supreme Court. Supreme Court has ruled that, yes, school districts are now subject to city and municipal building codes and ordinances. So what I'm concerned about, and Stephanie and I have talked about it at length, is that, yeah, there are a lot of municipal code violations in that building, such as the roof structure, and we got to do something with it. And that's why we wanted to refer to the building committee consisting of Dennis and Bill to come up with a recommendation for the full board.
Yep.
Okay? Because it's going to become much more of an expense. And as you can see, we're not getting hardly anything out of it.
What, can I ask about, what about the newer part of that,
The flat part, there was some discussion a couple of years ago with the Park District about perhaps demolishing the 2-story part of Neighboring House School and then donating the flat part to the school district, to the Park District for their administration offices. Now that has never fallen anywhere or gone anywhere because they also need some help with the city on that. And I didn't know if the city was in a position where they were going to do anything as far as what their involvement would be. But once that proposal was made, it kind of didn't go anywhere. So
Can that
I-
be part of the discussion that they have in the,
I'm sorry.
can that be part of the discussion?
It
that
could
they
be,
have?
Yeah.
because I don't know if
Yeah.
Mayor Parkinson, who just was seated last week as well, or the 27th, whether he is even aware of that proposal by, or if the Park District's even interested anymore, because I think that,
They've had a leadership change as well.
I think
Yeah.
that,
Right.
it's a new leadership.
Yeah, right. So it's a good time. I
And that
think,
is
to
a
discuss
small
it.
area office for the park people to work in, very small.
But it is, it's something that Bill and Dennis will make a recommendation to the board.
So the rationale for terminating the leases at this time right now is just that we aren't earning much money from them, and there's a potential liability.
Yes.
There's a safety,
There's a
there's a
safety
safety
and
issue.
liability.
Definitely
Safety
safety
issue.
issue.
And it's not because they're not good tenants.
Right.
Oh, no,
They're-
not
I
at
just
all.
wanted to, and I know that, I just want to make sure like everybody understands that too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a safety and liability issue.
Because
Yeah.
these are mostly groups, sports groups and things
Yeah.
like that need to store also their
Yeah.
equipment.
I mean, if there's a bad guy, it's me, because I'm the one that brought up the safety and liability
Well,
issue.
But it
And
is-
so, and we have to watch out.
Well,
You know, I
that's our
don't-
job.
We're not in the landlord business.
Mhm.
True.
We're in the business of educating students, and this was something we thought we could do. It's worked well, but unfortunately, as the building committee will find out, there are a lot of unexpected and expensive upgrades that need to be done in order to maintain the integrity of the structure right now.
And this will probably come through once the committee meets, but I think it would be great for the public to see those kinds of pictures, because I think people walking past Metering House might think like, oh, it's got good bones still, and why can't, but to really understand what the issues are, I think that would be helpful.
And one thing that Eric Smith and I had talked about along with Stephanie is that if you would ever, and just so the public knows, if you would ever want to upgrade and try to rehab Neving House, I mean, under the Americans with Disability Act, you gotta put in an elevator, that cost was $120,000. If you touch any of the restrooms, you've got to upgrade your restrooms to the ADA requirements, and that's very, very expensive. to do
Plus the
that.
plumbing, of
Plus the
course,
plumbing.
all
The
that underneath.
YMCA upgrade was $11 million.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I mean,
Wow.
I think Niedring House is 54,000 square feet,
Wow.
give or take.
Yeah, plus, I would hate to see if there's any asbestos covering those pipes in there. Because the remediation of that would be astronomical as well. So it's, again, you guys just took your oath, and one part of your oath is to be fiscally responsible, and you're gonna be tested on this one.
Well, I sadly move to
I know.
terminate
We
the
already,
great organizations. Oh,
yeah, we
very
already had
good.
a
Never
motion
mind.
from
Forget
Stacy,
it.
and a second from
It
Kurt.
is a shame, because like you said, these are excellent tenants that we have, but really it's looking out for their safety as well.
Oh, most definitely. Where are they gonna go?
For $50 a month.
Anything else? So the original motion was by Stacy and seconded by Curran. This is just to terminate the leases, correct? McMasters,
Aye.
Stacy,
Aye.
Vinnie,
Aye.
Knoble,
Aye.
Curran,
Aye.
Nunn, aye, and Wilmsmeyer.
Aye.
Approved Consolidated District Plan 10F.
Okay, Mr. President of the Board, the administration is seeking approval of the consolidated district plan for the FY '21 for the following grants: Title I, Part A, Title II, Part A, Title IV, Part A, IDEA, Part B flow-through, and IDEA, Part B preschool. Those are the grants that we receive on an annual basis. The new consolidated district plan process strives to streamline the federal grant application and management process. The first phase of this includes the Board of Education approving the Consolidated District Plan, or CDP, which amounts to codifying the grants which we will continue to apply for and receive. Approval of this plan is merely a procedural requirement and does not signal any change in the grants for which we apply or receive. The only difference in FY 2021, is that the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act, the IDEA grants, that support special ed now require independent application by each district. In the past, all 18 districts that utilize, that's the wrong group. Anyway, we have to have these for special education purposes. I apologize for that. The approval of the consolidated district plan must precede the submission of the federal ESSA 2 and ARP ESSA 3 grants. Generally, this is just a procedural move. It could have been in consent agenda, but because there's new things under the IDEA, things that are required. I'm sorry, the wrong districts are there. But it's just something that we actually, this year, spent a lot of time on this tried to develop, usually it's kind of a cut and paste situation, but because things are so different, we had to go through a new needs assessment. Everybody took a part of this. We have a long way to go, so we had to put all of this into the plan so it mirrored what we're going to do with the grants. So it took a lot more time and a lot more effort, but I think we're ready to go with it, and then it'll allow us to apply now for the ESSA 2 and on July 1st, the ESSA 3 ARP grant as well. So approval
I just
is-
want to say how hard you and your team
Oh, the
worked
team's been
to
amazing.
get this into the deadline that was
Absolutely.
presented to you.
They've been great.
Unbelievable, and I know it was a complete group work.
Oh, the board
effort.
administration group worked very hard on this. I appreciate all of their work. We couldn't have done it by ourselves, so I'm really appreciative of them, and I'm glad that we're good, and then we can head on to the other grants.
Mhm.
I can't believe I put the wrong thing in.
We want to approve this, correct?
Yeah, I'll fix.
Do I have a motion on that?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Roll call.
Motion by Stacy, seconded by Nunn. Stacy,
Aye.
Vinnie,
Aye.
Kanogle,
Aye?
Curran,
Aye.
Nunn, I, McMaster,
Aye.
and Wilmsmeyer.
Aye.
Approved. And technology
I can just do
for
it.
board meetings.
Yeah, Mr. President of the board, board member Linda Knoble has requested a discussion of reducing paper waste associated with board meetings. Member Knoble would like to set up a digital approach for future board meetings. She has some really good ideas and reasoning, so Ms. Knoble, do you want to explore that a little bit?
Yeah, first of all, I have to credit Zach with the idea when he told me that he thought, he'd love to have just his computer in front of him. And I thought, wow, maybe others would like to have, a paperless board meeting. And I think we go through so much paper. This could make our green effort valuable. So I'm all for it. I'm hoping that the invitation extends to the other board members if they'd like to bring their computer.
We do, I did talk to Brad Smith, our technology, and we do have enough Chromebooks, so we could have them at the meeting for you. So if you didn't want to do that, I could just have it pulled up and you could
I was
just
gonna
do
ask about
that.
security.
Yeah.
like-
That's what I thought.
That's what I was hoping
Yep.
for, was
Yeah.
that it would be like the binder,
Yep.
but that's in here
That's what it'll
instead
be,
of the binder.
on the Chromebook,
Mhm.
that's what.
That way I don't have another device to worry about.
That's right, so it will be here available, pulled up, so you'll be able to access it right here in front of you.
I'm fully okay with that. Not only, I mean, it's conservation, like the green, but I think there's a conservation of energy and efforts as well, because it's a lot simpler. You can probably attest to this.
Yes,
Scan
very right.
documents versus scan, copy, collate, put them all in
Oh, I
binders.
know, the
And then
effort.
they get
And the
recycled or shredded
Oh,
or
gosh.
whatever in the
Yeah.
end.
The cost of paper.
Yeah.
Mr.
It is.
Mr.
It's
Smith,
hard.
Mr. Smith, are you on?
I'm here.
Do you want to
Yes.
give him a thing about the Chromebooks and how that would work at all?
So, I mean, we'll have a Chromebook for each person, and then you would essentially just log into Google and pull it up from your email, or, there's several ways we can do that, as far as sharing the agenda, with board members through Google, so.
As well as board administration and everyone else too. We can,
Oh, correct, yes.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
This would be something that they just access at the board meeting. They would not take them home or anything of that nature.
Well, they could get it through their
Correct.
email at home.
Yeah,
if
it
they
would
wanted
be
to
on
pull
our
it up.
email.
They would just be able to use it here, so they don't have to bring their own computer in.
So it'd be like a password protected Google account. We would all have Google accounts.
Right.
Or would you physically take the computer
We
home?
would physically take the computer.
No, you don't have to.
I don't. I'm good with that.
They wouldn't have to, because it's through their email, so their Gmail.
So you essentially already have the Google account.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With your school,
Gmail, yeah.
with your
On those
Gmail.
Chromebooks.
Well, you know,
Yeah.
the board office, they had that built in.
That's what
Yeah.
I
This
thought.
is not new technology
That's what I
for our
thought,
board.
too.
At the old board office, long before we came here at the desk, there was a window there, and it was all popped up, each of these
Yeah.
pages that was done. It's
Right.
not like we're doing something we haven't done
No.
before.
And just out of my own
It's
conscience,
just I will
there-
need a 8-year-old to teach me how to use a Chromebook. You know, that,
out of my own conscience, I just want to ensure, like, we're not taking a device from a child, or like,
Oh,
there's
no,
not
we-
a shortage or,
So
mass
close.
need for that.
Brad, you want to attest to that one, that we have a few older ones or excess from before?
Yeah, so we do have some older Chromebooks that we use in student services for families to come in during the day. for the enrollment process and such that we can use in the
That's what we
evenings.
thought.
So, I mean, we're using devices that we already have, and nothing's being utilized that a student would need.
Okay. And honestly, they don't need they don't need that much power anyway, because they're really gonna be scanning some PDFs, right?
Exactly.
Right.
Logistically, as far as like the battery life, I'm not sure. I mean, like tonight's a long meeting. I don't know. I mean, I don't really see many outlets. I mean, I'm sure we could
Oh,
figure
we
that
got
out.
new ones, wait, I had them put in.
I just mean in this area.
I think
Like,
we have
would
6
it last
outlets.
an entire meeting or?
That's
like,
a good
if
point.
there was
That's a
a-
good point.
Last entire school day,
Chromebooks
right?
usually have pretty good battery life, so
Okay.
I would say that they would last the meeting.
We'll have a charge.
We can always, run some cabling,
Right.
have power strips available if need be because of all the new power outlets in the
Aren't there
room.
new
So
ones
I
out
don't think that should be an issue.
Are there new ones along that? Well,
Oh, yeah.
I had them put in like 3 new outlets in the room, so
Nice.
hopefully it's a little better.
You never have.
When would this be able to,
You
need
never
to take
have
effect
that.
or be able to take effect? Will we have to wait till the new fiscal year? Or can we do it next
We
meeting?
can do it, yeah. As soon as you,
Can-
whenever you guys decide. Dennis, do you have any comment on this one?
Yeah, I guess, first of all, I'm all in favor of it. I think this is fantastic, and as soon as we can would be great. Fiscal year, if we need to hold off that long, sooner, next meeting if we could, and I'm ready for that. And then I would also ask Superintendent Can, I know you have already looked into some technology too that's out there
Yes.
that might be a more efficient system for us to put that board packet
Oh
together.
my gosh, Board Docs is a system that a lot of districts use. It's very efficient. You put things into it, it changes everything on its own.
Automatically?
It automatically, it archives, so we're looking into the cost of that, and I could actually present on that in the next meeting.
I think in paper savings alone, we could pay for it pretty quickly.
Yeah.
I think,
That's what I
does Board Docs, just a real quick question, would it be one of those things that we could link directly to the file where, I'm thinking like, kind of recently, we had an issue where there were a couple different versions of a file because of email. Someone emailed and they emailed the
Oh,
corrected
right.
version.
It would have it
and
all
they emailed
corrected,
corrected
the
version,
newest
and-
one.
Yeah, so yeah,
That's
when there's
nice.
one file, that's
It's wonderful.
It's always
my
updated.
favorite.
Well, actually, I could even have them do, I'll have them do a demonstration, I could comment on it, but I was gonna have the guy come in and,
Okay.
because just seeing, if you wanna get on into different school, I know it's a couple school districts that use it, you can see when you go to their board meeting and agendas, I can give those to you later, you can check it out. It's just the amount of time we spend, and we're also going to have deadlines for things, but just the organization, the ability to keep it all in one spot and have it work better. But I'll just present on that next time, if that's okay.
So Brad, what do you recommend, like, can we have this for our next meeting, or should we wait? What would be best for you? Your department, I should say.
If we want to do it digitally, next meeting we can with the Chromebooks.
But I don't think we can.
I don't see a problem with that. As far as using the board docs.
No, that'll be
that may be something that would have to come later, that I'd look into a little bit more. But, we could certainly share, like I said, the files with Google Now,
Yeah.
and try it out next meeting.
Yeah, I think that's what I'm just looking at, what's the actionable item for tonight. So I move to go as paperless as possible with Chromebooks, effective our next board meeting,
May 25th.
May 25th.
Do we have a second on that?
Second.
Any more discussion? Other than we make sure Eric is blocked from playing Donkey Kong during the meeting. I'm good for it. Can we have a roll call?
Yep, the motion was made by Vinnie and seconded by Curran. Vinnie,
Aye.
Knogle,
Aye.
Curran,
Aye.
Nunn, I, McMasters,
Aye.
Stacy,
Aye.
Wilmsmeyer.
Aye.
So approved. Brave new world for the board.
I know, exciting.
And XH, NH, student school board member for the school year 2021-22.
Mr. President of the board, this has been a great experience for me with Kaylee McKenzie being our student board member. She's been excellent. She's going to give a presentation a little bit later in the evening. And so we're just going to approve the new one for this evening. But I wanted to tell you thank you and how much you've done to include us in the lives of students this year during this crazy year, right? I really appreciate it. And I think the board probably does too. So the School Board Advisor Committee, which was Mr. Zach Nunn and Mrs. Linda Knogle and Mr. Darren Depew, recommended another student for the student school board member for the 21-22 school year, and that is Mr. Maxwell Forbes. So we'll next time, the next meeting, Kaylee and Max will be here and she'll kind of hand off, right, to Max, and we'll have a little ceremony and some stuff for Kaylee. So approval, though, to accept Maxwell Forbes as a 21-22 school board member, student school board member is recommended.
Do I have a motion on that?
So moved.
Second?
All in favor?
I would like to make a comment really quick.
Yeah.
I know Max is watching. Max, I kind of let you off there. I told him there's no way he get it. No way. Complete joke. Complete joke. Many of you know, me and Max are very close. Over the past year, we spent nearly every day in robotics,
I love
right?
that.
We've done a lot together.
Great.
He's going to lead my position well, and he's seen me make these surveys, he's seen me make these reports. He's going to be fantastic, so just thank you to Max, and I can't wait to see what you do next year, bud.
Hard act to follow.
Yeah.
Hard act to follow. is what
Yeah,
I'm saying.
she is. She is.
Thank you.
So you know, so
I'll forward that.
And I just wanted to thank the Mr. DeFew and Ms. Knogle and also Mr. Willeret for giving us 3 quality candidates. It seems like
right.
this is my
Every year.
Every year gets harder. It's a hard decision. This was a multi-day deliberation. That's how I mean.
Oh, yeah,
They
it
were all
was.
great. They were all great.
Because all 3 candidates would have been great, so it's such a hard decision. So thanks to him for
And-
giving us some quality candidates.
And we do appreciate students stepping up to the job, you know, and that was what was really a big part of our committee, is the fact that we enjoy having students come in, get interviewed, and tell us exactly what they have to offer.
Yeah.
And that's the great thing about the
That's good to
position.
hear, and I think I'm familiar with all 3 that interviewed for you guys,
They were-
because I think they each messaged me directly, because I know them pretty well. And any one of them would have been great for the board, but I'm very excited for you guys next year. I think it'll be a good time.
Thank
That's
you.
wonderful.
I know
Thank
our
you.
board has been excited to have student
Oh,
representatives.
especially this
But we
year.
didn't know what to do with them
Yeah.
at first. The first poor person that came on and sat there the whole year at her desk, and we never asked her a question.
It was-
We didn't know how to use them.
It was a learning
And that
curve
has-
for us.
That has grown as we have
This year,
seen
too.
more and more
Yeah.
how your input makes a real difference, and we appreciate
It
that.
really did.
It's been very valuable.
We have a motion from Stacy that was seconded by Knogle.
Roll call.
Knogle,
Aye?
Curran,
Aye.
Nunn, I, McMasters,
Aye.
Stacy,
Aye.
Vinnie,
Aye.
Wilmsmeyer.
Aye.
Approved. Reports and other communications.
Mr. President of the Board, we have received 2 requests under the Freedom of Information Act during the period of April 10th, 21 through May 7th, 21. The requests were all handled by the administration, and approval is recommended.
Motion to approve.
I don't think you have to.
I don't think we-
Never
this is
mind.
informational, right?
Never mind, that was informational, no
It
action
was just
required.
informational.
I
Okay.
apologize, so
No problem.
just we were handled, so,
We allow a do-over here.
yeah.
Oh,
That was
thank
the first
goodness.
one, really. That was the
If I kept reading the same title 4 times, it's gonna make everybody crazy. 11B, actions of the Region 1 Board.
Mr. President of the Board, the actions of the Region 1 Board meeting, we are requesting ratification of the actions of the Region Board meeting on May 5th, 2021. Regarding the FY22 Directors Conference, Region Board approved sending special ed administrators and the Finance Secretary to the ISB FY22 Directors Conference. The date is pending ISB notification. All costs will be paid through the IDEA grant funds and billed to member districts. The joint agreement 21-22 budget resolution and publication of notice in the newspaper. The Region 1 Board approved placing an advertisement in the newspaper for the resolution related to the preparation and publication notice of public hearing for the Region 1 21-22 budget. 3, the designation of depositories, FY22, the Region 1 Board approved the Granite City School District to adopt a resolution authorizing the investment of Region 1 funds designated depositories for the FY22 school year. It is recommended that the Board ratify the actions of the Region 1 Board in regards to items 1 through 3.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Oh, that wasn't.
Oh, that wasn't.
I thought I'd throw one in and see if you thought.
Who was first? Was Linda?
Roll call.
Okay. Motion made by Knogle, seconded by McMasters. Nunn, I, McMasters.
Aye.
Stacy,
Aye.
Vinnie,
Aye.
Knogle,
Aye?
Curran,
Aye.
Wilmsmeyer.
Aye.
It's approved. Student board member report?
No, 11C. activity account report?
Yes.
Okay, activity account report for March 2021. Listed, Mr. President of the Board, listed below are the activity account report for March 2021. Please review for informational purposes. Right? Okay, are we on 11?
Is that something to vote on?
I don't think so.
I didn't
No,
think so.
it's for information
Okay.
purposes only.
Yep.
Okay. Now we can.
Now our student board member. report.
Right. I guess Ms. Keely McKenzie, the current student board member for the 2021 school year, will present a follow-up presentation to her February 23rd presentation. Keely did a great job. She surveyed as many of the student body she could at the high school to see what their concerns were, how they were feeling this year. And I think this year was so important for her to do that. And we tried to respond to quite a few, I think,
Yes.
of those first things. So she's now going to follow up and kind of give us the second survey and what kids thought about that. So
Yeah, absolutely.
I'll turn it over to you.
So you'll see up here, I have a slideshow once again for you guys. I don't think they're printed out this time, but it is going to be up here. And then hopefully we can get it out to the public after this board meeting so that everybody can see these responses as well. But yes, hello everybody, and for those on Facebook Live that don't know me, my name is Kaylee McKenzie. I'm a senior at Granite City High School, graduating in a couple weeks, and I'm our school board student advisor. My position is representative, thank you, of the student perspectives within GCHS, and I'm dedicating this report to full transparency. This will be the second and final report, as Superintendent Can said, that I give as student advisor. And as for the board, please feel free to interrupt me and ask a question or make a comment at any time while I'm showcasing this report. So over the past couple of weeks, I have surveyed students with 8 questions considered to be of value for the student opinion. The survey took place on Google Forms and was sent out to students via Principal Depew's email and skyward messaging from Mr. Mitchell, our manager of district communications. Our students' responses remain anonymous unless they otherwise indicated, so they knew that previously before filling out their responses. This survey, we had about 180 student responses, as you can see on the bottom there. Previously, we had 169. Although this is only a small increase, I do note that there were some issues with student accessibility if they tried filling out the survey on their phones, because Google account verification connecting to their personal emails instead of their school emails. And because of the organizational capacity that I fill this survey out with on my own school account, they weren't able to take that. So I did recommend for everybody to take it on their Chromebook so that it would automatically connect to their school account. But either some students forgot to do it afterwards, or they just didn't want to go that extra length at the time. So nonetheless, we do have an increase in responses, which is always great to hear. Hopefully next year when I work with Max, we can have an even bigger increase. Right. Okay, awesome. So the first question asks, what grade are you in? This is a basic question, trying to see who really responded to our questions. Once again, freshmen came in first place with 30%. And my class came last, 20%. But yes, you can see here that senior class, the freshman class actually ended up with 30%, juniors had 26.4%, sophomores had 23.6%, and seniors had 20%. That is a pretty good distribution among students, but I am glad that more underclassmen are filling this out, since a lot of these questions will reflect next year's class. Okay, the second question asks, what are your thoughts on Q4 schedule? This question was directed at all students for the survey. Although students understand that we had to have major constrictions due to COVID, here are students' pros and cons about the schedule this semester. Honestly, before I talk about these responses, there were more responses that favored the schedule compared to this schedule for Q4 compared to the first 3 quarters, as well as even the traditional year, which is very interesting. 140 responses were overall positive with some constructive feedback, and here are the following direct quotations from students. Mr. Mitchell, is there any way for me to see all of those responses with the cameras now out of the way? Awesome, so here are 4 responses. I believe the schedule is better than switching off because a lot of lessons take more than 1 day, and it's easier to retain the information given when you're given multiple days to work on it in a row. It works for me. It allows me to concentrate and get more done. Despite it being more consistent, I think I prefer the first semester's online schedule in general terms. It felt a bit easier to navigate, and I felt like I was getting a bit more out of my classes that I had. Everything feels spread out more this time, and the extra time we have in places doesn't feel like it's being used as much to its full potential, unlike the prior semester. I love the schedule. You get home from school early, and school doesn't start too early. There's plenty of time for extracurriculars and hanging out after school. That was a huge positive among students. So those were just 4 of the many responses that we had, but those responses were pretty much replicated over and over, so those were the most common responses. And here are some more as well. If you guys want to link to them later, you can also read them as well. Question 3. So question 3 states, the high school's tentative schedule for the 2021-2022 school year will be 7:30 a.m. to 2:40 p.m., and it involves all hours. What are your concerns about this schedule, and what are its benefits? This question was directed at freshmen, sophomores, and juniors. Once again, students understand why schedules aren't entirely mandated by the board, and COVID causes restrictions for the schedule. And students are still voicing various opinions. Students were also given the understanding that we don't yet know all of the details about what's coming with the schedule, and as we said earlier in this meeting, more of those details will be given out tomorrow. So overall, it was nearly actually half and half, with many of the positive comments preferring to get out of school earlier and return back to some normalcy, and the other half disliking the 30-minute earlier start, which was a lot of those comments, and conflicts with the new schedule. So here are just 4 of those responses. I think starting this early will cause many students to be late or just not show up to school. Also, kids already don't know how to drive well. Having them drive at the crack of dawn, possibly rushing to school, because they're running late could be a safety hazard. This year, as I drove to school, I noticed many people not following the rules of the road, especially at the stop signs, and it almost caused me an accident. Also, I guess the biggest question here is lunch. Many kids will have their baths off, and yes, we are able to sit outside, but what happens when it's cold? How are they going to divide the hours? So obviously that question will be addressed more over the summer once we know how more of those COVID restrictions will be, but that is a question to look at for the future. So the second response is great for getting out early for sports with practices and games. Remote still needs to be an option. I think some students thought that they were more involved and more inclusive into getting on time to classes when they were remote. So that was quite a few other responses. And our final response for this question is early bird gym is going to be an even earlier start than it was before COVID. Some kids have to do this to cover gym credits. Will there be a different option to cover these credits? So that is one question to consider. Okay, so the 4th question asks, do you have any ideas for events that maintain social distancing and mask usage if COVID-19 guidelines would need to be continued in the upcoming school year? This question was directed at freshmen, sophomores, and juniors, and students understand that events can't be entirely normal, but they would like to offer some help and alternatives in the future. There aren't many responses that weren't similar to the following 2 responses. So the first response is the pep rally, which they're referring to the welcome back rally we typically have, is one of our school's biggest events, and quite frankly the one I get most excited for because everyone is able to attend no matter what clubs they're getting in and out of class, and it's actually pretty cool too. Anyways, my brother's a freshman and I was so excited for him to get to experience it, and sadly that was taken away due to COVID. I believe we could have easily taken the pep rally outside and still had just as much fun. The second response is, I would like to at least have a welcome back rally and homecoming that follows COVID guidelines, even if they are not traditionally the same. Maybe some outdoor activities, like our football field, soccer field, our yards and areas that haven't really ever been used. They could be used now, and it could be an opportunity to do it now. So those are kind of the only responses I really had with this question. So the 5th question asks, on a scale of 1 to 10, how safe do you feel in the high school in the prevention of COVID-19, 10 being the most safe? This question was directed at any in-person students only, and there were 4 categories. The first category being in the classrooms, the second in the hallways, the third in the gymnasiums, and 4 any other areas of campus. There are charts that you can see with these responses, but overall the responses indicate a common theme that students are generally safe in the high school, but with the exception of in the hallways being a little higher in the lower numbers. I will say this, there have been responses along with these charts stating that one-way hallways don't always work because it makes for pile up in the stairways. I've actually experienced this myself, especially when gym students are coming in exit 4 and immediately having to go upstairs to get to the other side of the building. That's actually where everybody else is getting out of the classroom. So it's a huge pile up there, and it's actually a big safety hazard. There's another solution that gym students could be dismissed slightly later, but with the 5-minute passing period, it gets really hard for gym students to go to the other side of the building. So that is many of my peers' number one concern.
Yeah. In the best of circumstances, sometimes transitioning from one class to another is quite a haul.
Yeah, especially because in traditional years, the passing period was 6 minutes. And this year it's 5 minutes, right, to allocate for the time we have. So
Yeah.
it's even harder for gym students. Okay, so question 6. Will you be attending and participating in the high school events taking place over the next month, i.e. prom, senior send-offs, activity banquets, award ceremonies, graduation, etc.? This question was directed at my class, the class of 2021. There were 36 responses from seniors, while 3 responses were from underclassmen. So out of the senior responses, 75% of senior students said absolutely yes, and there were a few more responses saying maybe or I'm not sure yet. There were also a few that said no without explanation, but there are 2 responses that seem important. One senior said they aren't sure because a lot of their friends won't be attending since all of these last-minute events conflict with their work schedules and everything seems crammed together. And another senior responded, they will be attending as long as COVID regulations are followed. My own response to these students is yes, we will be following COVID regulations, and yes, everything may seem crammed now, but we have the opportunities to do some fun stuff. I mean, you don't have to come to everything, but you can come to some stuff, right? And I do understand that you may just want to graduate and move on at this point, but we need to find it in our spirit to celebrate ourselves and have some fun. We each deserve it, right? So we can't look at the past, we have to handle our futures and have some fun. Yeah, so does anybody else on the board have a response to that certain question?
Not at all.
We tried to
Yeah.
get as far away as we can once they had more restrictions lifted, so we tried to give them as much time ahead of time, but I understand the work schedules and I feel badly about that, but trying to get
Right.
as much in as we could.
Especially during, this time where the phases have actually begun to where we can actually do more of these events, right? So, yeah, that's what I have to say as well. Okay. The 7th question asks, what do you think about the ceremonial plans for graduation? You guys are going to like the responses on this one. This question was directed at seniors only. Overall, many people appreciate your consideration that students prefer to have their whole class with them instead of just a lot of family on the football field, as well as appreciate the thorough plans for unprecedented events like, weather conflicts, etc. But here are just some concerns and responses from students. I'm honestly just concerned about the start time at 7:30 p.m. because isn't that practically dark then? I understand why we can't bring more than 2 family members because I would rather have all seniors on the field, but I wish there could be more. Also, will there be a clear live stream? I want my family to see me walk across the stage and not just a silhouette. I do like the angles and shots they had last year for graduation. The final 2 responses are very positive. I'm glad we're getting a ceremony to begin with. I'm not picky because I understand the circumstances. More than anything, I'm grateful we got this opportunity. I love the plans. They're well thought out in case of any rain. Awesome. So yeah, we have our final question, and it was a very open question for our students. The 8th question asks, list below any other concerns, questions, comments that you would like the Granite City School District Board to discuss. So we have a lot of different responses, some responses also being some previous ones we've had with our other questions, but here are just some that are worth discussing. More hands-on activities such as labs and projects, group work as well when possible. I would just like to say that I know you guys are doing your jobs and I appreciate all of the concerns. Clearly what you're doing is working, but there are many alternatives that could have been thought of this year that just weren't given a chance yet. And I believe the students' happiness is just as important as their safety. A lot of us lost motivation during the school year and this caused many to fail behind, and happiness is the key to success. Even if you can't think of an alternative, give the students a chance to. You can send a ballot just like this and I'm sure we would have came up with a solution together. I would just say I think it's important that Max next year, I can work with him even from afar at college. I could even work with him to produce more of these surveys and have more questions directed from you guys directly to our students. So I think that we could solve that issue. Breaking up hallway times is in dismissing certain classes at one time, and the other half a few minutes later. That would help decrease transmission between students due to distancing. And if COVID guidelines continue until the fall, weekly testing for students and staff, especially those in sports, would help decrease transmission. We have 2 more slides about this question. So much work has been put on us this year, and we are criticized every day for not memorizing or understanding material we discussed 5 whole days ago. Mental health is declining. Teachers have to cover topics as a part of their curriculum, but it is stressing kids out too much. This is the first time I've ever had a D or even a C, and students need to have a quality high school education and experience, and I hope next year that we can change that. There are too many kids here to social distance. Too many students will end up being out on quarantine throughout the year. We should still have remote learning as an option to decrease the amount of students in the building. Putting pressure on teachers to have grades in a certain time and covering so many topics is not only stressing teachers out, but also students. Work has been piling up while we have to again remember what we are covering, so we ask teachers for extensions or exceptions, but they aren't able to because of these pressures. Something needs to be done. Honestly, I think what you guys are doing for the 2021-22 classes are great. If COVID is still a problem next summer, what is the plan for the classroom capacity and social distancing dilemma? Instagram hate pages from Granite and some social issues on them, like racism and sexism. I previously talked about this a bit in the last report. I've seen a decrease overall in the amount of hate pages because I was looking into it last time with some peers that were reporting it to me. And I've seen a decrease in them, but yes, they are still happening. And yes, those students are anonymous whenever they post those. So I don't know if that really can be investigated, but I know it's still a problem that exists. To my responses, I only ever knew why the start time was so early this year from a friend of a friend, and it was because of bus drivers. There needs to be more communication on why decisions are taking place, and is this again the reason why we are starting early next year? I think you guys discussed that earlier in this meeting as well. There are too many students here to maintain safety and social distancing. I see students already taking their masks off in the hallway. I think remote learning should be kept as an option, or we will have too many students having to quarantine back and forth, which will be more frustrating to students and parents. Sorry, my voice is so off today. So yeah, that's pretty much it. That's the conclusion. So first off, I want to thank the students who took the survey. A lot of things came through your email, so I appreciate your time and efforts and actually responding. There have clearly been more successful solutions implemented by the board for our student body since the last student report. So that's honestly amazing. We've seen that. But there is still more to work on, and our students are the reason we know what direction to go in. As the next board meeting is my final meeting, I look forward to working with our next student advisor, so Max, in producing successful surveys and accurately representing the student body at GCHS. Each of those I've interviewed were those that I knew personally, and I would each dedicate their time 100% to the board. But I am excited for Max and dedicating his future to this board and the student body. And finally, I hope we can possibly arrange an address by the board that answers a lot of the ideas and questions from this report, and send it maybe district-wide on social media and such. Students will be expecting their results to be heard, and they will all be watching. So all families would like to see these reports. Thank you to the board for this opportunity and everyone listening.
Thank
you so much.
Yeah. Thank you, Kaylee. Those are just invaluable.
Thank you.
Chris, that was very well done. Thank you for the comments.
Yeah, thank you.
And all the work that you went to.
There's a reason we are
I appreciate that.
Absolutely.
As a high school teacher from Granite City High School previously, I just am amazed by the thought and the empathy and the pride that the kids are taking in horrible circumstances. I mean, let's be honest, we've done the best we can, but you know, they're going on over a year of this, and particularly being like toward the end of the school year, everybody's just like done and over it. I mean, you mentioned a little, but a growth in responses in May is phenomenal. And that makes me very proud as a teacher and as a citizen here to know that there's all those students that are so invested, and the way that they express themselves, their
Yes.
teachers should be proud. I think it was really great. So
Well, that's
thank
good
you
to
for sharing
hear,
that with us.
yeah. So I previously been working on this survey with a lot of my friends as well, to try to gauge like what kind of questions should be asked. And a lot of them did reflect on, you know, they thought that there didn't need to be as much of an address for these questions since the last report, because I think that the board has done a phenomenal job at actually representing the student body so far and getting more events in and doing more for all of the classes in general. So I think that, you know, it has been good news to see some development over the past few months, but
I think going ahead, there's some change that needs to happen, and I think you guys are on a good track to accomplishing what the student body needs, so I'm excited to hear about it.
Thank you. Is there an executive session?
No, there's not.
No? There's no executive session? Good. Is the next item then is the approval of the minutes from the last
Right.
executive session meeting?
And approval of the last, we don't have those, do we? There was no executive session, so we don't have those.
Not from the special board meeting, no.
No.
Do we have a motion for approval of the last meeting's minutes?
Do we have those? We did
Yeah,
there
we
was.
did.
Special meeting, yeah, we
We did
did. We did that on,
We did
yeah,
that.
we did that in
Yeah.
the
That's
special
done.
meeting. So
Okay,
really, we're
good.
just setting the agenda.
Yep.
Okay. Setting the agenda, May 25th, 2001, school board meeting. And is there anyone have any additions or anything they would like to see added to the agenda?
Yeah, Bill, so we'll have dates for future board meetings. That'll be prepared for next time, right, Superintendent Ken?
That
Yes.
is correct.
And then, I don't know that we'll have any sort of tentative recommendation on Meeting House School yet, but,
Okay.
we'll certainly have that.
As quickly as
discussion.
possible.
And I'll have something on the board docs information too.
Have we come to the end?
I do believe we have.
Do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Yes.
And second?
A second?
I'll second that, and Bill, thank you again for filling in for me. I greatly appreciate it.
No problem,
Very
Dennis.
good.
Like all
Thank you,
vice
Dennis.
presidents, are
Thanks,
supposed to be
everyone.
invisible.
We're not. Thank you.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
The motion was by Vinnie, seconded by Winslow.